Okay,
Yeah.
so just briefly going back to that, in 2016, when we came here for the first time, we fell in love with the country, the beauty of it, the warmth of the people, all our impressions were so positive. We went to, so we were based in Kigali, but also went to Lake Kivu. So I was inspired at that point, when we came back to Poland, I decided to actually write a book, a novel, fiction, because I'm a novelist.
Okay.
I don't write textbooks, history, fact. No, I make up stories. But I decided to make it based on fact, based on what we'd learned about Rwanda, specifically using facts from the genocide, but wrapped around a fictional story. And I decided, because I don't know Rwanda that well, I only was there for 2 weeks, I decided to make the story mainly based in London, which I do know well, so I can write comfortably and well about London, and a little bit of it in Rwanda. So the idea for the cover is a combination of England, which we got here. We got Big Ben, this London, Big Ben, the London Eye, the Tower Bridge, and it goes over the back as well, combined with like the forest, you know, like the Virunga. This is inspired by Lake Kivu, the hills, all the kind of
Southern hills.
Yeah, so very soon I realised Rwanda is called the land of 1,000 hills.
Yeah.
So I decided to call it Once Upon 1,000 Hills. And the reason for Once Upon is because the novel's main character is a young English woman who lives in London, and she often writes stories for the young children she babysits. So when she meets the other main character in the story, a Rwandan genocide survivor who was orphaned and then adopted by an English couple and brought up in England. She meets him, gradually falls in love with him, and becomes fascinated by his country, his past. And so this here, the idea is the two of them. He's called John Paul Chambers. Chambers is a very English name because he was adopted by an English couple. John Paul, his original name. And this is Naomi, the young English woman. So this is kind of an idea of the present, and this is the boy, the Rwandan boy of the past. So it's a kind of idea of the boy from the past, from Rwanda, looking to the man he becomes when he grows up in England. I'd like to emphasise that it's, as you can see from the cover, it's a love story. Okay, it's a romance. It has, and this is not, I hope this doesn't offend any Rwandans because of connections with the genocide, but it's a book that does have quite a lot of humour from the protagonist's point of view, because Naomi is a lively, kind of very feisty, funny woman. She's always making jokes. She's quite sexy. You know, she's very direct and blunt in her language. She's educated, but a lot of fun and very direct. So, and it's from her point of view, most of the book. But John Paul, the Rwandan, he's the opposite. He's like a kind of Mark Darcy. You know, he's got a barrier. He doesn't talk about the past. He was traumatized from his experiences, and what he witnessed in the genocide made him very emotionally crippled. So he cannot be open. He can't talk about the past or be emotional until Naomi, through her charm and fun and kind of her lovableness, you know, she's very likable. She, gradually, bit by bit, slowly, she gets through to him, and he begins to fall in love with her as well. And once they really are in love, Naomi finds out more and more about Rwanda, about the genocide. She reads about it. He tells her bits about it. And so it's a fiction novel, made-up story, made-up characters, based on facts. So about 3 years ago, my youngest daughter, she was then 17, she was studying at school. Her history studies was about Rwanda, the history of Rwanda, and specifically the genocide against the Tutsi. And so when she came home one day to tell me that that was their next history project for the next term, at first she was a little bit confused, thinking, why this small country in Africa? Why has my teacher chosen that? Because she and her friends at school weren't really very aware of anything about Rwanda. And that made me shocked, because I told her straight away, oh gosh, Ellie, that's a really important country because of what happened then it was 22 years ago, in 1994. And I said, it's really, really good that your history syllabus includes Rwanda. And I started talking to her about it, and she got more interested. And then I started reading. I myself got more interested, because all I remembered from 1994 was the BBC news broadcasts and the horror we all felt watching some of the footage they showed on television. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, like all the West, everyone else, we forgot about it. Until that day when my daughter said she was going to study it for school. So that started me on my quest. I started reading the history books, the textbooks she had at school. Okay. Then I ordered more books, like about Romeo Dallaire, Philip Gorevich, yeah. You know, so, and lots more. Mm-hmm. Fergal Keane, lots and lots of Linda Melvern. I started reading lots of books and articles on Rwanda. I became more and more fascinated by it. Not just the genocide, which was the main issue for my daughter's history, but also about the development, about Paul Kagame, the development. I was shocked to find out it was one of the safest countries in Africa now, and the incredible improvements that have been made. Okay. So at some point I decided to go there. So my husband and daughter and I decided, instead of just reading, to actually go to Rwanda and see it for ourselves. Wow, interesting. And that's what we did. Wow. And all the Rwandans I've spoken to, we went to Lake Kivu as well, and the Virunga. We've spoken to taxi drivers, to people serving at maybe in cafes or at the hotels, and they all speak with such respect about the genocide, about remembering, never. Most of them have at least someone or some people in their family they lost, and also they are so. All of them are so loyal, so praising of the country, of Kagame, no matter who we've spoken to. And that's why we feel impressed by this country, because the progress is remarkable here. Yeah. That took a long time, sorry.
It's all right. Wendy, it was nice meeting you and having this interview with you. I hope to see you again in future.
I'm sure I'll come back. Yeah. Very nice meeting you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.